Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
The Donald Trump.
According to recent surveys, Donald Trump has more than 50% of share of voice in the media. For Roy Greenslade, there is a reason why Donald Trump makes more headlines than Hillary Clinton in the media.
Somebody who is so outspoken, so outrageous, was bound to garner most of the coverage. The media concentrated on Trump because, I think, of his personality, because he provided day after day sound bites, controversial statements.
An event held at the Frontline Club on Friday discussed the American election and the media in an age of distrust.
But yeah, the economic question in journalism, I think, directly creates some of the coverage. Trump, he creates his own coverage. It's easy, and if you're a young reporter, living in a terrible, very expensive room, even in New York, and you have 8 stories to get through that day, you can just write about Donald Trump's hair. It writes itself.
The criticism on the media coverage is also targeted at Hillary Clinton news. A study held by Andrew Tyndall showed that main American TV stations focus more on her email scandal rather than her policy.
So I think one of the biggest flaw in U.S. media coverage of this election was a lack of real substance. So you're hearing about emails, you're hearing about scandals, you're hearing about Trump's vulgar remarks, you're hearing about a lot of things like that, very surface level things. You're not really hearing about the policies that either candidate would implement or try to implement while in office.
According to a Tyndall report, policy was left aside on the press coverage. Since the beginning of the year, main TV stations dedicated only 32 minutes of their broadcast programs to policy. The profitable side of journalism is one of the explanations for this phenomenon.
I think the fact that journalism is an industry in the grip of a massive economic crisis has affected the coverage of this election, it's affected the coverage of Brexit. And you say, people want stories that get lots of clicks, and I mean, of course they do. A lot of because the industry is collapsing, ad revenue is collapsing. It's becoming harder and harder to push out their stories that matter.
As a media company, a for-profit media company, you cannot afford to lose the eyeballs, the clicks, the viewers. You simply can't, because if you lose those, you are going to lose in a business sense.
But could the media be held responsible for its coverage of the U.S. election?
Post-mortem after the election campaign, they may very well say to themselves, could we have done it in a different way? My own view is they probably couldn't, and if it was to happen again, not that there could be 2 Donald Trumps, but if it was to happen again, I think the same thing would happen again.
Gabriela Bocasio for City Global News.